Now, the final reader before Mr. Intermission does his piece entitled 15 Minutes. Our next reader is from Armagh, and she considers herself a jack of all trades. She has worked as a security guard, a bouncer, I can believe that, a caterpillar counter, a weeder, a dolphin researcher, and a ski instructor. Now she calls herself a writer because it would be a shame to waste all the stories connected with those crazy jobs. It is, of course, none other than our very own Byddi Lee, and tonight Byddi is reading Níl Watch Agam.
Hello. Were you all able to pull yourselves away from that new reality TV show that's on at the minute? We've been watching it every night. It's not the Big Brother house, but there's house in the title. House of Commons. They're voting every day, but nobody seems to do any bush tucker trials. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, okay, enough of that. Níl Watch Agam. Na bíon caint an Merla, we hiss as the Kinnera walks past. I think Kinnera is Irish for teaching assistant, but I'm not sure. It's total immersion, and no one has explained, at least not in English. Now, I know Moonshore is teacher, but anyway, the more fluent kids struggle to keep the conversation afloat, with fractured words of Gaeilge, but it's not sustainable. Does the Kinnera notice her encapsulation in a bubble of silence? Can she sense the cloud of fear she casts as she wanders by groups of young teenagers sitting in huddles along the walls of Colas Jawara, Lochanuir? We're all well aware of the threat hanging over us. If we're caught speaking English, the dreaded Berla, we'll be sent a Walya Sakid bus, imagine Amara, home on the first bus tomorrow morning. Now, even if I were to forget every other word of Irish I ever learned, those words are seared into my brain. To be caught I'd caint an Merla and sent to Walya, it's up there with an act of treason against the Irish state. I might as well have shot Padraig Pearse myself. Not to mention how pissed off my parents would be at having me back kicking around under their feet for the rest of the summer, whining, I'm bored, and no refund. So, with pride, I wear my Fáinne Airgid, which I actually forgot to put on before I came out, but with pride I wear my Fáinne Airgid, the silver ring I earned at last year's Gaeltacht, that tells the world you've reached a certain level of proficiency. Now I covet the Fáinne Or gold ring, the next level up. I stopped studying Gaeilge in real school after third year, being a science geek, but I'm still able to sit in Gaeltacht Assembly and understand the Ardwasher. Well, or at least sit there in less of a panic as I grasp at words floating by like malignant balloons, capturing some so I can piece together a version of what he may or may not be telling us. Like, we might be going to the seaside today, or the trip has been cancelled. It's one or the other. What I haven't learned linguistically, I've made up for in learning patience. The day will unfold. I take it as it comes. At the very best, I'll get my mates to translate in the toilets. And if the Ardwasher's message is serious enough, like, don't go swimming in the lake, like who would? Risk hypothermia? It's Donegal, for God's sakes. Then he'll tell us in Merla. At the end of 3 weeks, we have the exams for the Fanya Or. I'm comfortable with the basics and experimenting with more complex sentences, and I decide I'll give it a go. I sit down in front of the 2 moonshores, smiling, as if that's going to boost my score. Dia ditch, Ersa and moonshore. Dia smurra ditch, Ersa misha. The moonshore smiles back. So far, so good. Cén Tanya mata art, Ersa and moonshore Ella. My smile withers. I was expecting the old Cadasanyam ditch. What is your name? But I focus on the Cén Ta sound. I scrabble about for a clue. Go Maleshka, Ersa misha. The moonshore doesn't slow down when he repeats the question, but I clearly get the Cén Tam. A light bulb goes on. Cén Tam, eh? I know that. What time is it? But how rude. He hasn't even asked me my name. I look at my wrist and realise that even though I know how to answer the time in Irish, even the hard ones like past, lahanya and yeah, and 10-2, jai go jai, I have no watch. And dear God, what is the word for watch? If I can get past this question, he'll ask me my name, where I'm from, Ardwaha, of course, and I'll tell him about some made-up hobby for the sake of the exam. So, feeling pathetic, I raise my arm, point to my empty wrist, and say, Níl Watch Agam. They look at each other confused. Then one of them says, Cadasanyam ditch, and I'm back in action. It's not until I'm telling them about my fake brothers, because let's face it, one sister doesn't adequately display my vocabulary, that the penny drops. Horror washes over me as I realise the first question actually began Cén Tanyam, not Cén Tam, an alternative way to ask what is your name, and I'd answered, I don't have a watch. I have yet to earn a Fanya Or. Thank you.